Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to watch or listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner. Video conference, see login information. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Topsfield website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. And with that, let me go with my notes. With that, I will call the select board meeting of February 23rd, 2026 to order at 7:01 p.m. Normally we would be in person. We would do the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, but because of the pivot to an online meeting, because of the weather, the inclement weather, we are doing this via Zoom instead. I think we still do the announcements, however, and I'll turn that over to Madam Vice Chair.
The meeting is being recorded by the recording clerk for the purpose of taking minutes. Is there anyone else present who wishes to record the meeting? Hearing none. While we are conducting town business using remote participation via Zoom, we ask that those of you not recognized by the chair or otherwise engaged in the discussion of the moment to please mute your microphone to avoid interruptions outside the conversation. Thank you. The select board meetings can be viewed by going into the cable videos icon on the homepage of the town website. And on Monday, March 2nd, the board will hold a meeting at 7 p.m. The next select board work session will be held on Wednesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. Please check the meeting posting on the town website for information to either join via Zoom or for the location of that particular meeting work session. And then just a friendly reminder, due to today's storm, trash and recycling collection will be delayed one day for this week.
And I'd also point out it is, at least as of right now, supposed to snow again on Wednesday. So again, stay nimble. And if we need to change meeting, we will do so. So just keep an eye on things. Thank you. Are there any citizen questions or comments about anything not related to one of the items on our agenda? All right, going once, twice. With that, we'll turn to minutes.
So I'll make a motion to vote to approve the minutes of the select board meetings held on November 3rd, 2025, January 14th, January 21st, and January 28th of 2026.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes?
I'm just curious why we have two motions.
Because Bob was not there for the 9th and the 11th, so we broke them out for ease of voting.
Look at you all thinking ahead. That's the end of my discussion. Still there.
Okay.
And you accepted my typos, etc.
Correct.
Michelle?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, by roll call vote, on the first motion, Ms. Mercier-Link.
Aye.
Mr. Jackson.
Aye.
Mr. Hook.
Aye.
I'm an aye. I'm assuming Mr. Metz is abstaining.
No, these are the ones I was there.
Oh, these
So
are the
I'm
ones
gonna-
he was there. Excuse me.
Yeah, so
All right,
I'm going to
so
say
Mr.
aye.
Metz. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes.
So with that, vote to approve the minutes of the select board meeting held on February 9th and February 11th.
Second.
Any discussion on these two sets?
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't there.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Aye.
Mr. Hook.
Aye.
Ms. Mercier-Link.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you very much. And then that brings us to our new business. The one-day liquor license request from Trinity Episcopal Church. I don't know who can speak to this. I know Kevin is running late. So if not, I'm happy to entertain any questions or discussion on it.
It
We've
seemed
been
pretty
there before,
straightforward to
so I'll
me.
make a motion. Vote to approve the application from Trinity Episcopal Church for a one-day wine beverage license for the March into Spring dinner to be held on Saturday, March 14th, 2026, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 124 River Road in Topsfield, Mass. Wine beverages will be served.
Second,
Okay, any other discussion?
anything about malt beverages or just wine?
It's just it's addressed here. Address here is just wine.
Okay.
Well, let's see what they put on the actual application.
That's what I'm looking at now. 3 half cases of wine purchased, 1 each of red, white, and rosé.
It's just wine.
So no malt beverages.
No malt, just wine.
All right. Mr. Hook,
Aye.
Mr. Metz,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Mercier Link,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay. Next up on the agenda, we have the Topsfield retirement, but I'm gonna ask if we can maybe take this a little bit out of order for Kevin to make it here. I know he just needed a few more minutes. So if I can jump all the way down to the Topsfield Housing Authority and see if there's any who would be able to speak other than Kevin on this. If not, then we can keep going down the list. Nope. Okay.
Do you want me to give you a 3-minute overview? And if it's enough, you can vote on it.
I think we all understand what it is, but sure, I'd love to hear from you.
I might only be a minute. A former member, I think Mr. Gerald McCarthy, the resignation is up, resigned midway through his time at the Topsfield Housing Authority. So this is to be added on to the local election warrant for the remainder of his term. I believe the select board has done this in the past year or two with the school committee. They do not need an immediate person added on like the school committee did. And they are fine waiting until the local election.
That was my understanding as well.
Thank you, Sam.
Do we know if it's 1 or 2 years left on that term?
I think it says in the motion, it's until 2028, I believe.
Ah, right. Yep, it does. Thank you very much. Okay. There we go. So are there any questions or motions?
I would make a motion and vote to add an open seat of the Topsfield Housing Authority for a term ending May 4th, 2028 to the 2026 election warrant.
Second.
Second.
All right, any other discussion or questions? All right, then roll call vote. Ms. Mercier Link,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mr. Metz,
Aye.
Mr. Hook,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the Topsfield Fire Department grant acceptance. And I think I saw Chief Collins Brown on the call.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh my gosh, great, thank you. I got a little snow.
A little bit.
This is $2,500 grant through Maya. It's for esophageal cancer screening, pre-cancer screenings. And so firefighters are 62% higher risk of esophageal cancer, and esophageal cancer is the second most lethal cancer there is. And so Maya offers this program where we can have up to 4 people evaluated, tested, and pre-screened for esophageal cancer. So that's that.
Wow.
Looks like a great idea.
Yep.
That's
That-
good
that-
news, Jen. That's good news, Jen. Thank you.
Yep.
How many people can be screened, did you say?
This is for 4 people.
4 people, okay.
Ooh,
How
an
many people
expensive
would you
screening.
like? How many people would you like to have screened, Jen?
Well, it's all, it has to do with risk factors. So the firefighting is one part of the risk factor, but I have 4 people already signed up. I also, Middleton had offered, they weren't able to fill all their slots. They were offered some slots. So I'll just keep it when it comes up as a grant, I'll just keep reapplying for it as well to get everybody. Nobody else has expressed an interest that they'd want it. Nobody's missing out right now. I guess that's the right way to say it. So
Well,
How
that is-
often do these grant opportunities come up?
I'm not sure. This is kind of a rolling one with Maya. So they have a couple of other preventative because I actually also asked for the police and highway and employees because they may not have the risk of the being a firefighter that, but they have other risks that older men, people that have smoked, that there's just a whole bunch of different risk factors that might trigger them to it might be a good idea for them to get looked at. So so we'll
Well,
keep
that answers my question because you've got more than 4 people that you'd like to have tested for
course.
this.
Yep.
And so you'll keep trying, you'll keep applying for grants to get
Yep.
everybody,
Yep.
ultimately get everybody screened.
everybody that wants to. Yep.
Thank you.
Ideally, would the screening occur on an annual basis?
What it says is it says some, it's funny that you ask the questions and it says they say something like it's not something that it's not something yes, I guess that's the right answer. It's not a one and done thing. And people with Barrett's esophagus are at a higher risk of esophageal cancer. So like those are the kind of things you would look at. So it's obviously in the town's best interest to identify these things early and so that you don't have the healthcare expenses associated with that kind of cancer and the treatment. So,
Right.
Yeah, and take care of the people.
right, exactly. Right.
You would think that they would add it to their regular screening, covered under insurance.
I know it. There, as firefighters, we have there's a list of tests that like I brought to my own primary care and get a chest x-ray and to get things that are relevant to this line of work to stay on top of it.
Great.
Thanks,
Well,
Jen.
once again, good work finding the money to do good things. Any other discussion or motions?
I'll make a motion to vote to accept a grant from the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association for early detection of precancerous changes for Topsfield Police, Fire Department, Department of Public Works, and dispatch employees in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mr. Metz,
Aye.
Mr. Hook,
Aye.
Ms. Mercier-Link,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, then I think what we should do is go, I know we have a guest on, so we were hoping to get an update on the Essex retirement system. And I think normally Kevin would introduce you. He, like I said, he is running a little bit late. We appreciate your time. Glad you could make it on Zoom. again, pivot the last minute for the weather. You're probably very happy that we did so as well, though. So
Yes, this is much, much better. Thank you.
much warmer for sure. So,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Sure. I'll just try to give you a hopefully brief overview of the retirement system and where we are financially primarily. As you probably know, we are a defined benefit plan. The benefits we pay out to our retirees are based on a formula set in statute. Our governing statute is Chapter 32, and within that chapter, the retirement benefit formula is set out. It's primarily our members' age, years of service, and their 3 highest consecutive years or 5 highest consecutive years, depending on when they became a member. Although there are other factors as well, but that's primarily how their retirement benefit is calculated. So the amount of money that we as public employees contribute doesn't necessarily affect our benefit. It's set by a formula, so it's different than a defined contribution plan that most people in the private sector are familiar with. Our sources, our funding come from 3 places. As public employees, we do make contributions to our retirement. Most of our members now pay a base contribution rate of 9%. There are still a few dinosaurs around like myself who still pay 8%, but most everyone who is in our system now contributes 9%. If you earn over $30,000, an additional 2% is contributed on all your earnings over $32,000. So most of our members now are contributing 9 and 2% to the retirement system. Our funding situation about 5 years ago, our assets were, as of January of 2021, were about $574 million. We just got our most recent investment performance report from the PRIT fund, the state fund, which we are nearly entirely in. We're over 99% invested in the PRIT fund. And as of January of 2026, our assets are a little bit over $861 million. So we've gone up about 50% in our assets over the last 5 years. Our funded ratio, which measures our assets versus the liabilities we have out there, in 2022 was a shade under 61%. In 2025, we ended the year just under 65%. So we're about 2/3 fully funded at this point. As you may be aware, our plan to get to full funding is based on a funding schedule that we put together with our actuary, which the board has to approve every 2 years. Right now, all retirement boards are required to be fully funded by 2040. Although they do have the flexibility to shorten that, and most boards have picked a time in advance of 2040. Our full funding target date is 2035. So when our funding schedule is put together, it's with the goal of being fully funded by 2035. Our current funding schedule has annual increases in the appropriation of 6.5% through fiscal year 31. That drops to 4% through fiscal year 34, when we, on this schedule, would be fully funded going into fiscal year 35. I would note that under the current funding schedule, that in fiscal year 26, the last fiscal year that you have paid, you've got your bill for fiscal year 27 in December, but in fiscal year 26, our unfunded liability actually went down for the first time after many years. So it's actually headed in the right direction after many years of contributions by our units. In our current funding schedule and funding plan, our investment return assumption is 7%. The PRIT fund's 5-year return, based on their performance report that we just got for the end of January, is 8.12%. So in their extended return period of 5 years, they're returning an investment rate that's greater than our investment return assumption. The difficult challenge for us is even if we have an investment return that's positive, like 4 or 5%, with our assumption at 7%, that's still a loss for us. We have to realize that 7% return or something greater in order to be making progress with our unfunded liability. I say our current funding schedule because we're required by law, as all retirement boards are, to do a new funding schedule every 2 years. We undergo a valuation study of our assets and liabilities. We have a private actuarial firm that comes in and does this study. And we are actually scheduled today to have our kickoff meeting for our 2026 valuation study, but our meeting was postponed to Friday, so that will start on Friday. And the board will meet with the actuary and they will set up their assumptions and parameters for the study at that meeting. And then typically by April, we get a preliminary return on the valuation study. And then the board goes from there based on what they get in that report. In this valuation study, there is one potential issue, just to make you aware of it. Every year, the board typically grants a 3% COLA to our retirees. Unlike Social Security, COLA on full benefit each retiree makes, it's on what we call the COLA base. Our base $16,000. So retirees making $1,000 a year in their retirement benefit, that percent COLA is applied only to the first $16,000. So one of the issues the board is looking at is possibly raising that COLA base, and they're going to ask the actuary to evaluate different levels of an increase and to find out what that will cost. Before that would take effect, the board would have to approve it, and also our advisory council would have to approve it. The advisory council is made up of representatives of all the units. For the municipalities, it's the treasurer from every unit. So what will likely happen if the board pursues this is that sometime maybe in June or in the fall, we typically have our two advisory council meetings, usually one in the spring, one in the fall. At either one of those meetings, if there is a potential COLA base increase, it would be presented to the advisory council at that time. And then depending on what they do, it would either be effective or when it, and how that plays out will affect the full funding target schedule going forward. If you have a question, feel free. I don't have much more to add.
The COLA is applied up to $16,000. Is that a COLA on the first $16,000 of benefits that are being received? Or
yes. So if you get a benefit of $30,000 each year, when we vote a 3% COLA, the 3% is not applied to the full $30,000. It's applied to the first $16,000. So everybody who's earning $16,000 or more receives a 3% COLA limited to that $16,000.
Okay, so to the extent you raise that, that moves us backwards in the fully funded progress.
It will add a cost, which is what the board is asking the actuary to study. So that's the determination they have to make.
Does the board come to the towns and ask for support or approval, or is this just a decision they just make and then towns pay up whatever the cost is?
The board has to go to the advisory council, which everyone has a representative on that council. So the town, in all the towns' case, but in Topsfield case, it's your treasurer who is the representative to the advisory council. The advisory council has to approve it. It doesn't become effective unless the advisory council approves the increase in the COLA base.
Did I get the impression that you had implied that they might be looking for more than a 3% COLA?
No, we're actually limited by statute to 3%. We cannot raise it more than 3% each year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But did I understand that you said that our contributions grow at 6.5% per year?
The appropriation overall grows at 6.5%. How that's assessed to each community depends on a process we go through each fall where we get the salaries paid to every member of our system by unit. And depending on what your share of that total salary amount is, that's the share of that year's appropriation you pay. But that number that gets split up goes up by 6.5%, at least through fiscal year 31.
So the pie grows at 6.5% a year. The size of Topsfield slice will change depending on the formula you're saying.
Correct. And it just a couple numbers for you. In fiscal year 27, the most recent assessment that was sent out for the appropriation, your share was 3.51%, which is actually right on what you have averaged over the past 5 years. It's been 3.51% as an average over the past 5 years, and that's the share of the total that you will pay in fiscal year 27.
Okay, so essentially then our payment is growing 6.5% a year as well.
If everything else stayed equal with everyone else, but not everyone else stays equal. Some people, for whatever reason, they might have a surge in salaries one year or lesser salaries, depending on hiring or what type of positions are out. So some units their share could jump higher, so they would contribute an increase that was probably greater than 6.5%. And those other units that stayed the same or maybe had a reduction on salaries vis-a-vis how everyone else went up, they might actually see an increase that was less than 6.5%.
Okay, but just in broad strokes, I mean, I don't think this is a new story, right? Town budgets are under pressure, and I know increasingly retirement is being pointed to as one of the things. Insurance, retirement. Do we have an assessment of how much? I should have this, so I apologize. It's probably in the budget, Kevin, that you've shared, but how much our contributions have grown year over year? I'm looking at all the people that probably have the answer too, so apologies if that's not immediately apparent.
No, I could just tell you, I think your appropriation in fiscal year 2027 is just a little bit over $2 million. The average over the last 5 years has been about $1,778,500. So it does go up, even if you stay level and your share of the total doesn't change because the overall appropriation is going up.
Yeah. Okay. And is it correct that other towns are under the same kind of retirement pressure, funding pressure? Are you hearing that as well, or are we on an island here?
You are not on an island. It's a very crowded island. Everybody feels the same way. I was before I came to Essex, I was a town administrator in Newbury, and waiting each year for the retirement assessment was kept us on pins and needles. So I understand, and our board is made up primarily of municipal people or folks who have been managers in municipalities. So they're I think well aware of how important these decisions are relative to the appropriation.
Okay, and then I'll ask just one last one, and then I promise I'll shut up. Or Jay, you've got your hand up, but have you found creative solutions, or what kind of creative solutions have you heard from these other towns that are on this island that maybe we should consider?
In terms of the really big numbers, the unfunded liability, until we pay it off, there's a limit to what we can do. We have in the retirement system since I've been there, and if you may recall, years and years ago, there was a new board that came in. We've tried to take a lot of steps to manage our administrative spending so that at least on those things that we can control, we do not add to the cost of the retirement system beyond what we feel is absolutely essential to keeping it operating. So, and we've tried also to, and some of this goes back several years, but to create a set of rules and regulations that are clear, that make sure that everyone is treated the same in terms of service purchases and other types of buybacks and things that would affect their benefits. But generally, we have a limited ability beyond our own administrative expenses to control some of our costs. And I would point out that I've been there 15 years now. Our budget now is still less than what it was when prior to my arrival, going back to 2009, and has generally been in the $1.1 to $1.4 million range over the past 15 years. It hasn't gone up a lot over the years.
Chuck, I suspect that the administrative cost of your group is probably dwarfed by the pluses or minuses in the investment returns. What are the portfolio allocations and who's managing the money?
Years ago, in fact, when I was in Newberry, the retirement system had its funds invested 80% by private fund managers that were directly managed by the retirement board, and then 20% was in the state managed PRIT fund. We were part of a group of municipal officials who went to the board and requested that they consider moving into the PRIT fund completely. And over time, that is what the new board that has come in has done. So we've more than flipped that. So we're almost entirely invested now in the PRIT fund, which is the state managed fund. So our asset allocations is determined by the state fund managers, and our investments are managed by the state board, the PRIT board.
Well, could you spell that acronym?
PRIT, yes. The PRIM board manages the PRIT fund, Pension Reserves Investment Management Board, and the Pension Reserves Investment Trust Fund.
And about what percentage of that is equity? What percentage is bonds? And do you have private equity?
Private equity is a big factor in their investment strategy. We're a little bit overweighted in private equity, in that we also about 3 years ago have a separate investment beyond the main PRIT fund investments that we have in a vintage year private equity fund. We added about $8 million in that category. And the thought process was that private equity has had pretty extraordinary returns for quite a while, and we were hoping to advance our funding status by going in that direction a little bit more than the overall fund's asset allocation, particularly in private equity.
And then stocks and bonds?
I don't have the exact numbers, but there is a mix, there is a balance through a whole different allocation formula that they use. But that's determined by them, and we're comfortable with their allocation strategy.
I think, Jay, you had some questions? You're on mute. I guess you're not on mute. We can't hear you. That's it. Go ahead. Okay. Any other questions from either the select board or the FinCom? Thank you for joining, FinCom. Good to see you.
Thank you, Chuck. A lot of good information.
I've got one more. You said, Chuck, that Morgan, our treasurer, is the representative to the advisory board?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. All the municipalities, the representative is the town treasurer.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, do we have a practice where Morgan comes back to us and says they're thinking about doing X, Y, or Z on the threshold for the COLAs, for example, and then the board discusses it and renders a recommendation or request to Morgan, or how does that work?
I don't want to talk over Kevin, but just we haven't really discussed this with the advisory council yet. But if the board decides to do it, we are required to give the advisory council a 60-day notice to give the treasurer the opportunity to speak to the Board of Selectmen about what this will do. So when the board has to make the decision to do it first, and then we notify the advisory council of it 60 days in advance of the meeting so that treasurers have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Chuck, for the lifeline. No,
Thank you, Chuck.
I think, Mr. Metz, are you referring to just general or this particular example of like the court?
Well, both with regard to pension, and maybe they have some other decision they go to the advisory board on, but right now it sounds like they're headed towards thinking about this COLA level.
Yeah, so basically to Mr. Costa's point, if there is something, he'll bring it back and there'll be time for the discussions, the appropriate discussions, and many of those conversations happen Tuesday mornings in our finance team meetings.
But it sounds like there's there could be a significant financial impact to the town's spending level on this. It sounds to me like it should be a decision that the select board is involved in.
I think that I want to take it one step at a time. Let's let Morgan have the opportunity to receive the information, bring it back, and then from there we'll disseminate it.
If I understood correctly, we're talking about $160 extra per person if it's only on the first $16,000.
For the annual COLA, yes, what the board will be looking at is trying to raise that base and determining what that would cost. And then deciding if they want to go forward in that direction.
Yep.
If they do, then we notify the advisory council, and we can't meet and take a vote on it for 2 months so that everyone has a chance to weigh in on it and give feedback back to the board.
I think it's a good heads up, but probably premature to make any decisions on that other than process. We'd want to hear from Morgan if that should come to fruition. Understood.
I would note too, just for the record, that the last time this was done was almost 4 years ago. So it's been a while since the COLA-based discussion has been before the advisory council.
Great, thanks. Yeah, Dave.
Just a quick question, Chuck. If I understood correctly, we're ahead of schedule in terms of paying off the unfunded liability. If that's correct and it continues, would we reduce the annual payments, or would the strategy be to pay it off earlier than scheduled?
I think we would say that we're on schedule to pay it off, not necessarily ahead of schedule. We'll know when we do this valuation study this year where we still are. And one of the decisions the board will have to make is if we're behind schedule, how do we deal with that? If we're ahead of schedule, what can we do? I think the board has generally been inclined the last couple of times that we've done that, where we've had pretty good returns and we've looked like we're making progress, that they want to bring down that annual increase. It used to be up over 8%, and they've brought it down over time to 6.5%.
Thank you.
So, Ralph, I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
There we go. I was on the wrong thing. So to answer the couple of questions you had earlier, just from my side and understanding it, the past 5 years, it's been about a 45%, 50% increase almost in what we've gone. We've gone from 1.4 million to 2 million in what we paid to the retirement. But if you think about it, at 6 1/4 and then some eighths, that's what almost all of what that is each year, right? That's that step up. But we've got at this rate, and what he's saying, we've got another 9 years at 6% per year if nothing changes, which is going to compound out to about 70% return increased off of where we are now, just to get to fully funded. One thing I would advocate for us to start doing a little more as a town, though, you're talking about things to do, is not talk about salary, but talk about total cost of compensation. And that when we talk about any position or any effort or any person, any role is not what's the hourly salary, but what's the summation of that plus benefits plus retirement expense.
Yeah.
Plus
just insurance.
Yeah, insurance and yes.
Yeah.
And the way that's typically done is you calculate for your organization what is the approximate average cost of benefits as a percentage of salary, and that's your rule of thumb you can use.
Those places that don't have a retirement, so most of public, it's about 30% increase, plus or minus 10%, depending on the benefits you have. But
Right.
so whatever your salary is, bump up 30% more, and that's what the
fully loaded cost is for an employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a little, I'm guessing, but it's probably a little more because of the retirement expense. Whereas in, as a percentage, right, recognizing that salaries tend to be a little lower in public than they are in private.
It used to be.
Yeah, some recent data, because of the health insurance costs as well as pension, it's even higher than that now, Jay. It's been creeping up.
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact number, but my guess is it's at least 40% now.
For
Total benefits is a percent of salary.
For municipal employees.
Yes.
Yeah. No, my numbers for public employees are fairly up to date, but municipal, I'd acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Shay, I would just like to say that I think you made a good point. We often at our level think about hourly rate, what it costs to hire somebody on an hourly basis or a daily basis or something. And we often don't spend enough time thinking about what's going to happen down the road with retirement and insurance. And maybe we ought to start thinking about the entire package when we start talking about what somebody gets paid and what that cost to the town is.
Yeah, I would think maybe we don't talk about it right, but I know we're thinking about it. And obviously, to be clear, as was mentioned, municipal is not as well paid generally as private sector, but these are some of those reasons why. There are other benefits for municipal employees that make it an attractive place to be.
Here.
Okay.
So
any other?
Chuck, you've done a good job, in my opinion. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
So
I've got one question. Let's say Topsfield wanted to become more aggressive than the portfolio that's at Pritt. Is there a way we can alter our mix, or are we stuck with whatever that Pritt board decides to do?
There's no mechanism that I'm aware of where we can do investments for one community separate from the system. I'm not sure how we would do that. I don't know anyone that's done that.
Yeah, I don't either. But different states have different retirement programs, and I just wonder if we could get it down as low as Nevada versus Massachusetts. Yeah.
So we're obligated to stick with that fund manager, Prim?
I'm sorry.
Are we obligated to stay with that fund manager? Is that how it works with municipal?
No, that the board would make the investment decisions as to whether we would go with private fund managers that we would select and directly manage, or whether we would go through the state managed fund. This board has been committed for a while to go with the state fund, and that's what we've been doing for about a decade and a half.
Do you have a benchmark that you use, like, a 60-40 stock and bond portfolio overall in the marketplace returns 8%, and this year the state did 7% or 9%? Do you measure the percentage returns against a reasonable benchmark?
Print does, and they provide us with performance reports each month, how each category is doing. Their biggest investors are the teachers' retirement system and the state retirement system. And the state's targeted investment return is the same as ours at 7%. So they're trying to achieve the same rate of return as we are.
How have we done the last 5 years? Are we above or below or on?
The most recent report we had it shows that we're a little bit above at 8.12%, and that's generally where it's been for the 5-year return. The 1-year return, the monthly return fluctuates a lot more, as you would expect, I think.
Of course.
Okay, you mentioned that before. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've got, we can take a couple more questions if there
So
are any.
Chuck, you had mentioned the that you're starting the biannual review, right?
Correct.
It's biannual, right? So
Yes, at least every 2 years.
yeah, and so that's probably October timeframe that we'll get the results, or is it sooner?
We're going to discuss that on Friday. If they choose to deal with the COLA base issue to try to make it effective for the upcoming fiscal year, we would have to have this vote prior to July 1st.
Okay.
So the timing of this and when this will be presented will, right. So it's whether we can make that schedule or not is going to be part of that discussion. Because we do have that 60-day notice period.
Yeah.
So once the board decides, we have to build that in.
And then you need to have that to be able, I mean, to do the actual study itself and the assessment.
Right. And a lot of the discussion on Friday is going to be about us getting the financial information that the actuary needs on a schedule that would allow them to possibly have this decision made by the start of the fiscal year.
So July 1st, June 1st, May 1st. It's going to take them a month minimum to do it. So you're talking, you've got this next month to get all the information to them, if at best case.
It's going to be tight. We've already started to give them some information. They're going to need more, and some of it is typically given in March, or there's only so much we can control, and that's going to be part of the discussion, I'm sure, on Friday.
Okay. And then, so where we're at right now, though, just to reiterate, 2035, I think it's a year, right, will be the last year that we are paying this much, and it should drop by a substantial amount after that, because we're only paying the go forward increase in, the new person, each year of each person's value, rather than all the historical value of everyone.
Correct. Yes, that's correct.
So for the select board, this is where we had from a policy plan that a substantial part of that money would turn and pivot at that next year to fund the OPEB, similar type of liability that we have on the OPEB side, with the intent of paying that off. If you remember, we're paying off a few $100,000. We're up to $450 or so thousand this coming year of that every year to pay into our OPEB liability.
Now, my understanding is, Shay, or at least it was mentioned to us that we're one of the better towns in terms of eating away at that OPEB unfunded liability. And if our taxpayers are feeling pressure, I don't. I think we should consider the possibility either early or in 2035 when it rolls around. Consider the possibility of continuing to stretch out that paying off the unfunded liability and not necessarily trying to accelerate it.
So, I think that's where the policy conversation will come in from everyone here, right? An engagement there on it.
Yeah.
I've got my opinions on it too, which is, ultimately at the end of the day, right now, we're paying for the benefits that our parents committed to for the teachers, right? This money, this extra money is because 30 years ago, they weren't paying the full freight.
Right.
right? And so however we extend it out, at some point we have to pay, we're paying for previous generations' choices to not fund the taxes.
I mean, ultimately, you know, our responsibility is to make sure they currently get paid what they're owed, and to make sure we eat away at that unfunded liability at some pace. I don't necessarily think it has to be in 5 years or 10 years or 12 years. You know, I think there's a choice there, either plus or minus.
Agreed. But just saying, Chuck, do you remember, when did this mandate from the state come that we had to get to full funding? It was
I want to say the late 90s,
90s, yeah.
I believe, when it happened, and that was established.
Yeah.
And again, just a reminder, the state's requirement is to be fully funded by 2040. So we've targeted 2035. So the board does have a little bit of flexibility, but they've generally been committed to that 2035 date.
But I mean, it's a long tail. There's a long tail there even now. I mean, it'll be 35 years from the time that it started to the time that we caught up.
But in the meantime, everybody is getting everything they're owed every year.
Right.
Which is priority number one. And I do think it's a good year that they set a date where you have to be fully funded by such and such a date, because you know, otherwise there'd be a tendency to promise more than you can really afford. This way, it forces you to recognize the full cost of what you're doing.
All right. Mr. Costro, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you've had much tougher questions.
No, this was pretty good.
But I had everybody put their pitchforks away earlier in the evening. Appreciate your time.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
Raphael,
yes.
I mean, I'm happy if you guys have questioned any dialogue, but I didn't get to coordinate with you. I need to end my meeting here with the FinCom meeting. So at some point if there's anything you want to ask us or talk with us, great. If not, I'll just ask for your, let me rub it in as we vote to leave.
No, go ahead. Rub away.
And there they go.
Motion to adjourn.
And there they go.
Motion to adjourn from Catherine. It's still a virtual meeting, so I'll need a second. Is there anyone left? Yeah.
Hi, David.
David said second, so now I need to do a roll call vote. Heidi has had to drop. Mike Hartman?
Aye.
David Larson?
Aye.
Michael Canaris?
Aye.
I think Tom's on, right? Is he?
Yep.
Okay.
He's muted though.
Okay, he's nodding. All right, Catherine?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Jay, aye. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting us participate.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Have a good night.
Good job.
Take care.
Wow.
Okay, before we go on to the next item, I did want to mention that there was one item originally on the agenda, Alfalfa Farms, that is not going to be taken up tonight. So if anybody is hanging on, waiting to discuss that, my apologies. I should have mentioned that earlier, but we are not taking up the Alfalfa Farms tonight. With that, instead, I'd suggest while he is still awake, we give the mic over to Superman Gary Wilds, who was probably plowing just 30 minutes ago. I don't know.
You took my microphone away.
Still got your boots on, Gary?
I was going to say we got to keep it quiet because Gary's trying to sleep. Gary he hasn't been to bed for 24 hours, I'm sure.
I was struggling a little to keep my eyes open. I didn't want to be a meme for somebody.
Well, before we get into accepted roadways, Gary, to you and your crew, thank you very much. We see how hard you're working and really appreciate it.
Thank you. I know you guys appreciate it. It's
been a tough couple of days.
But with that, let me turn it over to you and Mr. Hartunian about accepted roadways. Oh, wait,
Before-
sorry, I can't.
Open the hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Topsfield Select Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, February 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. Via Zoom pursuant to MGL Chapter 82, Section 21 to consider laying out and accepting the following ways as public ways: Aaron Drive, Beach Place, Deer Run, Evergreen Lane, Hickory Lane, Pearl Way, Pemberton Road, Pheasant Lane, Ruby Circle, and School Avenue, signed by myself, Select Board Chair Raphael McDonald. So we need to open that public meeting, which we will do. Now I believe I can turn it over to Gary and Kevin.
Thank
No,
you.
no, no.
No,
Sam.
You need to actually motion and roll call in to open the public hearing.
Ooh, okay.
okay. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second,
Second,
All right. By roll call vote, Ms. Mercier Link on opening the public hearing.
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
aye.
Mr. Metz,
aye.
and Mr. Hook.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Now the public meeting is open. And what I'd like to do is have you guys give us the information, and then we will obviously open it for public comment as well.
Sounds good. I'll just say a couple of words and I'll hand it right over to Mr. Wilds. First of all, Mr. Jackson and I did coordinate our dress today. So I just want to say thank you for the black look, Mr. Jackson. On a serious note, there's been a lot of work that has gone into these road acceptances. And the man who's been probably not slept for over 24 hours at this point is the one responsible. So I promised him if he does get a little tired during this, or I help him out, or Lee Smith, our attorney who's joining us, who's here as well from KP, will also be here as a team to kind of work through this process for the first time. Now, it is our first time going through this process, this team going through the layout, but this is the public hearing portion of it. Because we are remote, the intention tonight is not to close the public hearing and to allow us to do that on Monday next week. So we'll continue the hearing tonight, but we'll cover the layouts and we'll answer any questions you might have in tonight's meeting. That is our intent. So with that said, Mr. Wilds, I will hand the show over to you.
Thank you, Kevin. As we're all aware of what we've been up to the last couple of years, we've talked quite extensively about this. Early on, we got together with Lee. There was a number of us all working together on this. As far back as I have to say, even Heidi was helping us before she moved on and try to figure some of this out. There's a lot of gratitude to her and others, Beth Willis, and putting up with me in the clerk's office in the safe, looking through the historical data, trying to find these things. The main thing we did, we're circling back around. We had got an outline together, if you will, from Lee, about 17 steps, and there's a number of them that were required by us at first. And what we had done initially was we've discussed this with you, and then the select board was to vote to the intent to layout and refer it to the planning board for their stamp of approval, if you will, which has since been done. They had it. It was signed, it was a unanimous vote, and then it was sent back to the select board. Tonight's object is to layout, which is, we're going to show you, I have try to keep it very short, slides of all the 10 streets that we have, and to make sure everybody's in agreement that Aaron Drive is Aaron Drive and those kinds of things, so we can move this forward. There's one of the next boxes checked as we go for town meeting and its approval then.
Great.
Okay.
Sam, you ready?
hold on. I think, are we good? Do you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Sorry, let me go microphone off.
If you can, go right at, yeah, we can skip that one, Sam. So as you see right here now, and mind you, some of us have been in town longer than others. And I don't say that in a disparaging way. I've tried to get enough information on these as to show the layout and where they are in relationship to, as such, Aaron Drive ties into King Road and North Street, which is in the proximity of Clock Park.
Okay.
And this is another one that it shows you at the bottom right. It will show you North Street, and was actually at that far right end is the tie-in, if you will, to the short shoot to Route 1 near Osteria Pizza. It's just another depiction of it. And that is where it is claimed to be, is right in that plot of land.
I've seen it. It's there.
All right. Thank you.
Gary,
Yes.
we're not following on the screen what you're talking about.
Oh, I am. Is
I
your
am.
screen not
Yeah, I
advancing?
am.
Well, okay.
Is yours, can you see it, Boyd?
Well, I see Deer Run, and
Do you need me to go back? I can go back.
we had Aaron Drive.
Yep. So that's just a second two of Aaron. It was just this one.
I got that. I got
Okay.
that. And then comes Deer Run.
And yeah, so the next one is Deer Run.
Okay. I'll shut up.
So what this one is a depiction of Deer Run from Town Lane. Town Lane was put in, and it showed Deer Run. It was originally Deer Lick, if you will, is what was in. I know you can't make it up, Bob. And it was since, and it has been since named. The state recognizes it as Deer Run. We have it in the tax base as Deer Run. The postal addresses are Deer Run. So that is one of two. If you would, Sam, the second slide of that, please. And this one does show, it has our radiuses. It shows this is an earlier one of the subdivision of Town Lane, and then back then it was still talked about as Deer Lick Place. But
Now you're making me sentimental, Gary. You showed me my old property on Town Lane.
Getting close.
This one, I have a few here, Pemberton. Now, the reason behind this is one of our oldest. And this particular slide, number one, is actually the as-built for the water main project that was done there when Billy Wood was still the superintendent. So I put it in there as just another reference point of Pemberton, because it was a difficult thing to find maps on this other than more recent stuff that are on ArcGIS, GIS, and satellite photos. Slide 2, Sam. If anybody has any questions, just stop me.
Yeah, Pemberton is off South Main Street, right?
That is correct. Yes.
It's almost as old as the town, or you've referred to it as an ancient way previously.
Very old.
It is my understanding, and I don't know it to be fact, that this is one of the oldest in Topsfield, and those houses were way back when were considered cottages for seasonal workers when we had the shoe mills, I guess, in Topsfield. And again, I don't know how completely true that is or not, but
I've heard that same story.
So it is a street that has been there for a long time. I reference that because Sam, if you go up just a little bit on this slide, thank you. This one just depicts somebody was either doing a new septic and they had pulled a survey for their property showing two different lots in Pemberton. It just ties into where we're going this. You want to go to slide 5, Sam, please.
It's interesting. This is one of the oldest roads in town, and we're just accepting it now.
I know. This just shows an easement, which is a right of way for us. It depicts a part of Pemberton Road. If you want the next one, Sam. And I threw this in because there is your fork in the road. The blue line represents Pemberton This is right off the town assessor's software. So if you click on any of the plots on this street, they show it to be this, whatever the square footage is, the frontage and the physical address of them, which is Pemberton Road. And if everyone is okay with Pemberton so far and in agreement with that.
Yep.
All right, this one is Pheasant. We have two of these. Here's a layout with the radiuses. We are only accepting this. This is accepted in to the end of the cul-de-sac. We have this slide and one other. Just trying to show it. It shows you the lot breakout. Really, it was, I forget if it was Cameron Moran that did this way back when on the survey. If you will, Sam, if everybody's okay with that, that is off of Raleigh Road after Stagecoach. And School Ave is significant to us for a number of reasons where this section we want to get accepted. It was there's some language that we have that it was deeded. We do have a survey here to this for the purposes of the old highway garage and the sale of that. And that'll be accepted. I believe it's 100 feet beyond the brook that this depicts, but this is from Main Street into that proposed property sale from the town.
So 100 feet beyond, that's reaching up pretty close to the fire department land, right?
No, it's well short of that actually, Bob.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Closer to where the front of the just
box top
dumpster is, where the box top is to that point.
Okay. All right. My favorite milestone, the dumpster.
Be careful, Bob. Be careful, Bob. I know where you're going there.
This is just another one, some of the older ones that we found in the Essex County Registry of Deeds, just Main Street and or School Ave. Again,
Okay.
another one, I threw it in there just to make sure, because this was one of those we want to make sure we take care of as well at the same time. And we can go to the next one, Sam. So this is the Hickory Beach subdivision. This shows the exact layout in there. If you go to slide 1, Sam. So this is depicting, I'm sorry, down again. Yep, right, keep going, one more. One of two. So this will show you, that's Hickory off of High Street. This is the beginning of Hickory, and I reference this because the first right there is Beach Place, which will tie into Evergreen, which we will see on the next slide. On Beach Place, there is only one house lot. And the next street, so that continuation of your cul-de-sac is Hickory, but before the end of that is Evergreen. So if you go down again, Sam, sorry, you have Beach Place. It shows that is Evergreen there. So halfway down on the left there is the end of Beach Place. The cul-de-sac is Evergreen, which are the three streets in that subdivision.
God.
And if everyone's in agreement,
interesting configuration on this Evergreen. There's like a section of Evergreen that is perpendicular to Evergreen.
I will tell you, it's no picnic to plow.
I'll bet it is not.
Because it's all granite, 8-inch granite reveal for curbing. You won't fall asleep in there. We can go, if everybody's satisfied with that, we can go to, I believe, Ruby. So this is the most recent subdivision, one of the few left, I think, really in town where we have the property. This depicts Pearl Way and Ruby Circle.
Look at how many lots there is off there, a relatively short street.
There
Still some for sale.
Yeah.
Still some for sale, Bob, if you want to buy up there.
I don't think so.
And there's a lot for sale.
Yeah, I think there are currently 4 residents in there right now that have built. The rest are still for sale. The one out front, the old carriage house, I don't believe is, actually, I'm sorry, that did sell. So there's 5 in total there, but this is also Pearl Way and Ruby Circle. This was one of the ones we added to make sure we could get this through the town meeting. They've done everything we've asked at this time for the planning.
Can I ask? Go ahead, please.
I was told that the one that fronts on Ipswich Road sold for $2 million.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Wow.
So Gary, even though the houses are not all done, the subdivision is not complete, they're not all sold, the streets, from your perspective, are done.
Yes. So, yeah, the good question, Raphael, because one of the things I talked with Martha about, this sat for so long. 4 houses sold, it's been sitting, they're paying taxes. They really pressed on this. And they came to an agreement with the property owner, I believe the planning board. What had to be done was all the radiuses, the curbs, the sidewalks, the trees, all the normal things in those plans that I would go check on step by step to make sure they were done. They're all done now. And then
Yeah.
I still have to get pictures because one of the things normally I wouldn't want done is the curb, because you've got contractors going to come in
Exactly.
and ruin our sidewalks and such. So one of the things I was adamant about with Martha is that when they come in, I'll have photos of each lot to make sure any damage will be replaced by the builder or that homeowner and not the town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
And this, I will say, this started, God, 7 years ago. So, which was started under Dave, and then when I took over, we were, Travis and myself would be in there inspecting on the subsoils and such to make sure those were the right stuff to bring in. We were familiar with the general contractor, who was a very trusted North Shore contractor, and they did a phenomenal job, right up to the pavement and everything else that was required at the end.
Great. So then from us, well, all right. Let me say, is there more that we should know right now?
I don't think so. Now,
Okay.
unless Lee has something, I think this is a matter of, and the layout is, so we all agree that these are the roads that we're talking about, and they're where they are depicted. And then the vote when that would take place, or the motion for that, my assumption would be, is so that can go with the placeholder we have for town meeting.
Yeah, and maybe that's a good question for Lee. We want to make sure we're doing everything by the book here, so that we can get through town meeting pretty easily. Is there anything that we need to be aware of for this process?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you've been following the procedure correctly, which we provided at the beginning of the process. As far as I know, the select board's already voted its intent to lay out the public way. You've referred it to the planning board. The planning board has returned its report saying that they're in agreement with the way the roads are laid out and it's sufficient for their purposes. So at this point, this is your public hearing on whether or not the select board wants to, in fact, go forward. And this is at the end of the public hearing, you'll be voting to actually lay out each of the ways that Gary has shown you on the presentation. And if that's an affirmative vote, then the request of town meeting to in fact accept each of these ways as public ways will be on the warrant, and they will vote accordingly. And then with that authority, the last step in the process is for the town to acquire the legal rights in the ways, either by acquiring easements or the fee interest in the property.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, let me open up if there are any members of the public who have questions.
I do have a question. We had a meeting upstairs at the town hall at 5 o'clock on Friday, I think, maybe Thursday, about this subject. I happened to be driving by and I didn't see any car. Did anybody show up?
Yep, there were several people there. Superintendent Wilds, Mr. Hartunian,
Yeah,
Member Hook, myself, and
Yep.
then probably 12 to 15 members of the
Yeah,
public.
I will say it's,
We had
I
four.
think it was even more than that. I think it was one of our better attended meetings, if we're being honest.
And
We had about,
there
I
was-
think,
there was some-
And
counted 24
was there, I'm sorry.
we counted, I think, a couple dozen people in all.
Oh, well.
Yep.
And it was a nice conversation. It was a little less than an hour, and appreciate the people who made the time to come out. And as always, I'll just for anyone watching at home or listening in, if anyone has any questions, I'd like to ask myself or superintendent directly. Our doors are open. Not today, obviously, because of snow, but and people can come in anytime or reach out during the day, and we'll get you an answer on what's going on.
Were there any complaints?
Were there any citizens there that had any real issues with what we're trying to do?
There was one citizen when we gave the initial introduction of what was happening, who to be fair to him, I don't think he fully understood. He thought we were asking them to do something, and the reality was the opposite. We're doing everything to try to make sure that they're protected for the future. So once that was explained, I think his brother was there, and he kind of snapped back at him and said, "No, Gary and Kevin are doing a good thing for us." I think at that point, there were a couple clarifying questions thereafter, and after that, everyone was like, "So you guys are basically just trying to make it so we can get our roads paved and improved in the future?" And we like, "That's exactly it." Everyone's like, "Sounds great. Let us know when you need us." They said, "Come to town meeting."
I don't see any reason why we don't move forward with this without a lot of citizen input. I mean, this is something that the Board of Selectmen, and I was part of that, neglected this for almost 20 years. And it's time we start fixing these kinds of problems and keeping our system up to date and doing what's appropriate on a timely basis. We're talking about stuff that's 10 years old or more.
Hey, Gary, I got a couple questions for you.
Yes.
So for Pearlway and Ruby Circle, are we plowing them yet? Are
No,
we?
those,
Okay, so
yeah, those, if it comes through with these and they all get accepted. The others, because they are so old, and boys not wrong, it's 10, some go back 40 years or 100. But with this one being the newest and last built, after town meeting, we will assume this next winter. And part of that was them finishing it to the standard that would be done if all the lots were sold.
right, so that was my next question. So all other streets that you just went through, we're already plowing and maintaining.
We have been for decades.
Right, right. So what this does is it makes it official from a Chapter 90 perspective.
That is correct.
Because the way that MassDOT has upgraded their systems, historically you would submit a package of roads, and whether or not it was accepted didn't necessarily get caught. And so some of these roads we've actually maintained for years. The difference now is with their technology. If we submit for a road that's not officially been accepted either locally or by the state for Chapter 90 reimbursement, they'll actually kick it back. And as we know, our budget doesn't allow us the flexibility to pay for, we don't have the capacity in our budget to pay for road paving. It has to come out of the Chapter 90. So this will allow us to get money back from Chapter 90 and actually increase the amount that allotment we get by more miles of roads that are now considered public.
And I may have missed this, but once we bring this to town meeting and we vote, and I'm assuming we're all going to vote yes to accept them. Is there anything else that could delay this? Like, is the state going to do some sort of evaluation, and could they come back?
Not that I'm aware of, Michelle. The next step would be, and we've just done this because in the research we did do, we found 10 street. Now that we know they have data and know exactly what is and isn't accepted by the town, we found 10 others that were certified and accepted, just never submitted to MassDOT, and we submitted those 10 over a year ago. And those are now accepted roadways through the state. There's a portal, we plug them in, we submit them, and then if there's any additional questions, They will come back, kick it back if it's a sidewalk or curbing, type of curbing. It's a very generic plan, but as far as I'm aware, that's as far as it goes. Once I have that certified copy from Beth after town meeting vote, we will be submitting that as soon as possible because we desperately need to get them in the queue so we can start realizing those funds and not even that so much, but actually put in for those streets to get them paved. Now, there's still some other steps clearly right after town meeting that will still have to be done out of this outline that Lee had provided us with on really kind of the game plan at all. But for that, it's again, as soon as we can get that in, I know I told you guys this before, I think, when we first put those 10 in, there were 4,500 streets in the queue ahead of us. Took 13 months to get those accepted. Everybody now is in the same boat, but I think we are ahead of it because of when we started. Many are spending a boatload of money for consultation and consultants to fix this. And I'd like to think we found a better way to do this and be able to get this the thing that used to come back was I think there was always a cost associated with it back then with the boards and they got to it and there was no repercussion because nobody knew what was and wasn't accepted. That has now changed and thus we had to finally make this happen.
Great. All right. Thank you very much. Again, though, if there's any members of the public who do have a question, we want to hear from you. Either just unmute yourself now or raise your hand or something and we can call on you. Okay, I'm not hearing any. Again, because of the weather, because there may be somebody who couldn't make it tonight, I understand there's some power outages in town as well. I would like to make a motion to continue the public hearing to give those folks who want to another opportunity. So I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to our March 2nd, 2026 meeting.
Second.
Any discussion on continuing the meeting? All right, let's vote on that then. Mr. Hook,
Aye.
Mr. Metz,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson. That sounded like an aye. You're on mute, but I saw you say aye. Ms. Mercier Link,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for joining, and thank you any members of the public who came to hear about accepted roadways as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gary.
And thank you, Gary. Yes, thank you. Yes,
If
exactly.
anybody's happening back out of the house tonight, hopefully you're not, do not go down Asbury, Wilds Road, or Prospect because they are still closed and probably for the foreseeable future.
Oh,
All
That
due
is
to
very-
telephone poles?
Yes.
Gary, I
Yeah.
spoke to our National Grid liaison tonight and asked if there could be some look, especially those are major thoroughfares and stuff like that, to try to put a little bit more, like there weren't very. I know there's other priorities, but there wasn't a lot of representation in town from National Grid. So she was going to try to find out and get a better information on those.
Yeah, one of the tricks I do, Chief and anybody else, I look for the dig safes to come in on these where there's pole replacement, because then I know if they're calling on an emergency, then I know they're coming. The only one that they called in was Asbury Street. Wilds had not, and Prospect had not been called in. I get my notifications for the emergency dig safes, and they still haven't done those two as of yet.
I mean,
But-
there's certainly people that are much in a lot dire straits, but we want to have some people need to plan what they need to do. So we need something.
And the residents can get out and in. All right, because it's just one pole down on each street, or
There's several on Prospect that are down. Wilds is completely closed due to a huge branch on that whole system. Asbury was a tree down on all the wires, did not pop the poles, but was down low enough and barely one lane. it's a dangerous thing, those kinds of things. We tried to close them, but when you're in the middle of a storm, you do the best you can. We all do, trying to cover things like that while you have to keep the other roadways open. My crew's still in right now. I'm trying to get them home by midnight. While we're doing this, another inch of snow came down.
Right.
I may have to talk Travis in off the ledge shortly. He's exhausted, but yeah, to Jen, to your point, there was a rather lackluster response to Topsfield, but I'm sure Essex and Hamilton and Wenham were all inundated with a lot more power outages than us. So I'm sure it was, need based.
Yeah, I wanted people to know that we are advocating for our residents and because we have little clusters of 10 people here, 10 people there, and we are advocating and they know that we're asking where are you and what's even just a time frame so people know what to do.
Yeah, most of them are they're past 16 hours without power now.
Mm. And I imagine you can't plow that street even if they could go on them. So to that question of getting in and out, if you can't plow it and there's 8 inches of snow.
Yeah, so we quickly before I left today, all 3 of those streets, we made sure we went down. We know the power's off. And my crew was making sure they plowed as far up to that blockage as they could because we may not be there at the time the grid shows up. And I want to make sure those trucks, the line trucks, can get to there where they need to without me having to call somebody back in again after a couple days up.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks again for the coordination and the advocacy.
Nope, thank
And
you all. Thank you all for bearing with us while we work through the streets. And you can't tell right now, but I'm dancing so that this goes through finally. And hopefully, I shouldn't get ahead of it, but hopefully next Monday everything goes well.
We got you, Gary.
That you're saying you're dancing because you needed to use the bathroom. All right.
I've heard more snow on Wednesday, more snow on Friday.
We're not talking, Boyd.
Yeah. All right. Quickly, let's move on to item E, the common victualler's license for Osteria Pepino Pizzeria. Let's start with an update from Mr. Hartunian.
Night all. See you tomorrow.
Night.
Thanks,
Good
Gary.
luck,
Thank you,
Gary.
Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Thank you all.
Hey, go home and go to bed if you can.
I am here now. It's just a couple steps away. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
As we all know, we've been working with Jerry and his family. Jerry's here tonight from Osteria. Osteria's common vic was extended at this point 2 times to allow for continual work on proper permitting of the apartment that was created in the basement. I had a chance to talk with our building inspector and our fire chief today. Thank both of them for in a storm spending the time to give me some updates. And I know, according to Chief Collins Brown, she's been working with the owner's fire life safety contractor, and there has been progress, and there is an inspection scheduled for Thursday of this week. Once that takes place, then it will be the application can get formally, the permit can then be moved by Jerry, authorized, as long as all the material that he has is adequate to do so. And so in big picture, things are moving. We're not to the finish line yet. There's still more work that needs to be done, including this inspection, which hopefully is successful with fire. And then it's Ray and his team doing their work. There's also the Board of Health that needs to sign off from a septic standpoint to make sure there's enough capacity to add the unit downstairs. So I know that we one of 3 things was going to happen at today's meeting. 1, 0 progress, and the owner not being responsive, which has not been the case. 2, owner and the contractors are working with our departments to continue to move forward, which appears to be taking place. And 3, everything's been completed and signed off on. That has not happened. And so the Common Vic expires middle of next week. And so we actually have next meeting as well if we needed it before the license were to expire. But based on the information I was updated on today, I think it would be appropriate to extend the common victual for another 30 days to see if we can get this fully permitted and completed.
Do they need that time? Do they need another 30 days?
Yes, assuming if everything goes perfectly and the fire inspection takes place Thursday and it's signed off on, then Asteria will be working and the contracts will be working with Ray on that piece of the permitting, which is making sure that all the material submitted is accurate. First step. Second step is then schedule inspection to inspect the condition of it. And third is then signing off and issuing an occupancy certificate. Realistically, I think best case scenario, if everything goes perfectly, is we're at least a few weeks out. That doesn't even contemplate any additional work needed by the Board of Health with considerations on the size of the septic. So I think 30 days would be a minimum amount of time I would allow if an extension was viewed favorably by the board.
So what progress has been made over the last, say, 6 weeks?
6 weeks. So that takes us back to roughly the end of since the end of the year.
I feel like our last extension was around the holidays.
We did a walkthrough with the contractor and our fire prevention officer, and noted the areas where they needed to have protection based on the new use under the building code and the fire code. And then they engaged with a contractor, fire protection, and they pulled that company pulled a permit to install the appropriate fire alarm system for the new use. And that's what we're going to look at on Thursday. I don't know about anything else, but that's as far as fire alarm things, that's what they've done.
The biggest concern from a public safety standpoint is occupancy of that unit preemptively. And I know we have the affidavit saying that no one will be occupying that space. And I think that we have not inspected to see if that's still the case. I know Thursday will be a time we'll be in the space to see and identify if there is anybody habitating it. We could wait till after and see how the inspection goes Thursday, and then Monday issue the license at that time if we preferred.
You gotta be shitting me when you stop.
But you have I wasn't sure, is there items that the building inspector and the Board of Health still need to do before?
Yes, so I think before an occupancy certificate will be issued, yes, of course. I think from the perspective of the common victual, I know that the space itself outside of the zoning issue is adequate for the common vic. So as long as no one's living in it, I think that's the major threshold on issuance or non-issuance.
I think Chief Collins Brown is explained from a fire perspective, but I guess I'm just not clear on, combining Raphael's question, which is from a building permit perspective and Board of Health perspective, what has been done in the last 6 weeks and what still needs to be done? I mean, it doesn't have to be detailed, but I'm just trying to understand what's remaining.
So fire life safety is the first.
I get that.
Yep. And so that's completed, then at that point I'm expecting that Ray will then review the full application at that point, plus the fire stuff, and at that point make the determination if it's a complete application or not, and if it is a complete application, he can then do the inspection for the occupancy certificate. Go ahead,
Jerry was going to say something.
Yes. So Ray had asked us to put a second door, and that is completed. And so everything that he's asked us to do is done. So now it's just a process that the fire has to take care of, and it's just right down the line. So that was the only issue he had, was having a second door, and we put one in. And that was it. So right now, so I mean, like he said, it's a process.
Jerry, is anyone living in the unit right now?
No. My father, no.
And the fire
no
alarms
one,
are
though. No one.
are in?
Wait. Just to be clear, you clarified
Well,
your
I live
father is not.
upstairs.
There is no one there though, right?
No. He
Right.
stays in. He has a house in Boxford, so.
I think I'm inclined to wait to see what happens on Thursday. Personally, I don't want to take a vote on this tonight. We can say it till we're red in the face. I think our patience is gone, is done. We're moving forward. The last 6 weeks have honestly been a bit slower than I was anticipating and hoping for. So I definitely don't want to make any decisions on this tonight. I don't know if the rest of the board has different thoughts.
I agree with
That's
you.
the question.
An
Did
opinion.
we say the fire alarms have been installed or have not been installed?
Yes, they have been installed.
Okay, thank you.
So I think to summarize the work, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong. Fire life safety has been installed by your contractor and awaits inspection on Thursday to make sure it's done correctly,
Yes, carbon monoxide.
signed off on. And then 2, there was an egress door that was required for the space,
Yes.
and that's been installed.
Yes.
So those are the 2 big things. I think the septic needs to be signed off on, which is just making sure
They can handle it.
John, right, they can handle it. And John signs off that it can, and then
But that's scheduled. Are those last 2 scheduled?
the Board of Health.
And the building inspector. So I understand the door's been put in, but is there another inspection that Ray has to do?
Yes.
I assume there's another inspection Ray has to do. Is that scheduled?
No, not until the application comes in after Chief signs off on the fire life safety. So Ray is not going to issue a building permit until fire signs off on any permit. And so that's Thursday. And then once that's signed off on, Ray can then work with John, and he can't now, but confirm with John. He'll issue the permit, then confirm with John. And if there's septic concerns, then he'll make sure that's flagged before any occupancy certificate's issued.
So similar to what the daycare had to go through downtown with hiring an engineer to calculate that, is that the same thing for Asteria to make sure that it can handle?
Little different. It could be the same end result, but my understanding is that 30 Main Street, there was no record, and because it's a multi tenanted commercial space with different types of uses within it. They had to. It really depends on what records we have on what the septic system is that exists right now at Asteria, and I don't have that answer available. I'm sure
It was replaced 8 years ago.
so. We should have good record of what the capacity is. It's probably just a matter of capacity. It's probably a matter of capacity. John hasn't had the opportunity to sign off or not on it yet.
But so John, our Board of Health will go through and look at those documents, and he can determine on his own whether the capacity is there?
Mm-hmm.
I have an opinion. I voiced it before. I am totally against this license. We have debated these issues with this organization for 2 or 3 years. And every time it comes up to get a license renewal or some kind of a decision, they are always late, and they are scofflaws. They don't care what our bylaws are. And I have not seen anything change about that. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm totally in favor of trying to increase the economic viability of the town of Topsfield. But this place is not the place to do it. They are scofflaws. I will never sign an approval for a license of any kind.
All right. Thanks, Boyd. I think we are seeing progress. Again, I'm going to withhold judgment. Unless someone on the board feels very strongly that they want to vote on it tonight, we can bring it up, but I don't want to.
I'm fine, not.
Same
Yeah,
here.
if the Monday meeting still provides us time in advance of the deadline, we'll go ahead and wait. And, I'm willing to go on the facts and circumstances of what's been completed and act on it when it's completed without prejudice.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on this?
Jerry, thanks for joining us tonight. And
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Right.
See you next
Then-
Monday.
Moving on, Sustainable Materials Recovery Program. And here I think I'm going to go to Kevin. We didn't get to this one earlier because I don't think I knew enough about it.
so
tried.
this is the grant for, I think, a little over $12,000 that our Sustainable Advisory Committee put in for the green curbside composting bins. And so we were awarded that. We applied for it. If you remember, that was one of the grants we applied for. And this is the grant acceptance for that grant.
And this is basically the same program that we ran before, where people get a free container if they sign up for the weekly or bi-weekly service for a monthly fee. Right?
Correct. Yeah. So
and we're going to try and improve the penetration rate that we had the first cycle by having more extensive outreach and promotion.
Correct. And
That's
this
what
will, instead of using our dividend points to cover the $40 cost per bin, this is another grant that we use, which will free up the dividend grant for other best practices use of those monies. So it's just a grant to replace another grant, but it's going to give us more opportunity to do more.
Okay. Yeah. This is a program that's paid for by the grant and then citizens for their own particular service. It's a good environmental thing. I think everything about it is a plus.
And
So-
I think, yep,
Are we ready to do
All
a
right.
motion tonight?
absolutely.
Sure. Vote to accept
Somebody
the
else do it. 'Cause
Sustainable
I don't
Materials
have my
Recovery
Word doc
Program
open.
grant from the Mass DEP for waste collection cart reimbursement in the amount of $12,500.
Second.
Any
Thank
other
you, Marshall.
discussion? All right. All those, well, not all those. Mr. Jackson,
Yes. Aye.
Ms. Mercier-Link,
Aye.
Mr. Metz,
All right.
Mr. Hook,
Yep.
and I am an aye. All right. Grant money. Good job. Next up, an update on the warrant, the budget, the entire process. So with that, I'll turn back to Mr. Hartunian again.
So I just want to confirm, I think you might have done it before I was able to jump on. We did cover the housing authority vote.
We did.
Okay, great. Keeping my box score here.
Don't worry, I just did the same thing. Check, check, and then I double checked. See, I'm confirmed.
Good. The fire department grant, the recoveries, the Maya.
Yes.
Cancer screenings. Good. Excellent.
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
did.
Chief. I know Chief was here. Thank you, Chief, for the work on that grant. It's a very important one. Very brief on this. It's Wednesday, our work session will go into much greater detail. So I want to say, hold time for that. But the Thursday around 11:30, I sent out the version 5.03 of the warrant. That version includes updated numbers on a couple of articles, including the 2 school stabilization articles, It also has the consent agenda is broken out as we discussed the other day at our work session. Also has KP Law's review of it, and some articles now have been built out that we haven't built out that we've just discussed previously. There are still a few articles that KP is still working on. They're very technical in nature. The e-bike is one. There's not a lot of examples of that, so we want to make sure we get it right. And then the other two related, one's to Milebrook Bridge, and the other's actually the road acceptance. So those are being worked on by Lee and Lauren at KP, and the e-bike by Lauren and her team as well. And also the newest article, I want to spend some time, we'll talk about it more on Wednesday, but is the creation of the pension stabilization fund. We did talk about that last week, where the genesis of that came from, but it's been built out. It's an easy one that they put together for us to look at, so we can look at it together. But overall, I really want to say thank you to all of you. This is our fifth version of the warrant so far, and we're in great shape timing wise where we are typically. We have the 2 citizens petitions that are now baked in here as well, and we have 4 planning articles, and then instead of the 8 or 9 that were originally proposed, and that's been right sized for those articles as well. For the most part, I think we can safely say these are going to be the numbers for the articles going forward. So I know FinCom and others do track at a certain point, and so if we have any we don't want to include, we'll just put a withdraw on at this point for those article numbers, unless the board feels strongly differently, and then we can do it differently. But that's sort of my idea of how we can look at it going forward, is try to lock in those numbers. Also, edits to the warrant will Wednesday. The hope is to go a lot article by article and really start digging into the language so we can keep moving and stay on ahead of schedule. So if anyone has any questions or concerns or about changes or just how the process will work Wednesday, let me know. But we're doing great work, and I really want to say thank you to all of you.
Everybody has obviously read it with a fine-tooth comb because all of our comments were due at 10 a.m. today. And I'm sure everybody is just on top of that as much as I was. I know I'm late. I only got through about 34, 35. But there are comments coming, I know, from my end. So thank you, Kevin, and thank you to the rest of the board's attention to this matter.
There's some of the things like Article 3, have we solidified our sort of the structure of our budget plus override?
No, I think that's a lot of what we still are going to need to discuss, including the numbers that are going to go in there.
That's what's going on.
And Kevin, do we expect a final insurance number from Maya, I think it is, for health insurance before that we have to go to press with this?
Oh yeah, we should have everything solidified in the next couple of weeks, is my anticipation for health insurance.
Okay.
And then it becomes a question from my perspective of messaging, how we communicate it. Yep.
And I
Kevin,
think, sorry, Michelle.
no, this is quick. For the e-bike one, I said I wanted to give that another look because I did look through it originally and I thought there was some, I'll say, conflicting information. So if KP Law is looking at it now, when will they get us? Because I'm sure they're going to probably highlight some of the things I saw. I don't want to review the current version if we're going to get another version from them.
Well, the e-bike language right now is a placeholder. It has this. I think it just has a couple of lines at this moment.
It was pretty. The one that I read was pretty long. Definitions, etc.
The one in Article 5, Warrant 5.03.
Maybe I was looking at a separate file from Chief Hovey, the original one.
So there is some just general language. That's what KP is looking at, and they're basically gonna use that as a basis. We've had a couple of conversations about, well, what's Town of Topsfield? What are you trying to achieve with this, Chief? What are you trying to achieve with it? So they're taking some ideas that chief had, and it's some written documents, like text you've seen, and they're working off of our verbal sort of expectations, and they're going to just try to craft an article for us to look at hopefully soon.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Very welcome. But as for the Article 3 and the attachment A, I want to spend some time talking about that too on Wednesday, because that's really, I'm going to just address it here because I know it's come up a couple times in the last couple of weeks, is, you know, what exactly are you going to put in Article 3? What's going to be in Article 3? And what I'm having there now is pretty much what we've had in the past, to be consistent. And where the details are going to be very transparent are going to be in attachment A, because the way our attachment A, as everyone knows, is by department. It breaks out what our budget is, and then they have the base budget column and the contingency. And so where pension is, we'll have 144 and the contingency budget as an example, because we talked about pension being part of the override. Or if it's 10,000 for snow and ice, having 10,000 of that additional ask being shown under snow and ice. So when we get to attachment A, I think that's where Article 3, because the Article 3 ties to attachment A, that's where people will be able to see really clear what they're voting on when they vote for it or not.
Meaning the override that people will see on Article 3, if they wanted to see the details behind that, they would go to attachment A.
Yes. And in the past, when it's the same they've always done, the schools, when they've had overrides like last year, it basically said, this is for general school operational costs. And then please see attachment A. And the only difference is under attachment A in last year's override, it said elementary schools, base budget, contingency. It didn't break in like their snow and ice budget or, you know, academic material. It didn't break that out at that level of detail for their overrides. And so ours will actually, from a transparency and detail, will be a little bit more, I think, clear on where the override monies are going towards. It'll be broken out accordingly.
And I think we were also going to ask that question, you know, how binding is that? If there's an amendment or something at town meeting, we definitely have to understand whether attachment A is binding or not.
Yep, absolutely. I actually I texted Lauren this evening about getting Goldberg about talking. I think she said she's around tomorrow, so I'm actually going to give her a ring tomorrow about a few things, including this.
Great.
And now
Okay. So again, continue your reviews. We are going to have a deep dive on Wednesday, but if you have questions, comments, concerns, the sooner Kevin knows about those, the sooner we can address them, the sooner we can tackle them and be done with this process. I think, to reiterate what Kevin was saying, right, we're ahead of our process. I'm sure everybody has seen recent news that budgets are starting to crop up in other towns, and they're talking about the ongoing process that will take them the next 5, 6, 7 weeks. So we're well ahead of that. And I know misery loves company, but for me, at least, it was interesting to hear that they are citing many of the same issues that we're having. So to use our earlier attendees' phrase, it's a crowded island that we are on.
I like that. Where do you see these comments from the other towns, Raphael?
I would definitely not reveal that my news source is Facebook, but it's a lot of patch articles.
Yeah, Ipswich Local News has a lot of articles
Ipswich
too.
Local
Yeah,
News.
Town Common. It's a lot out there.
Yep.
Oh, you are slippery.
All right. Let's see. Where does that bring us? That brings us, believe it or not, to select board updates. And I'm just going to go in the order that you are on my screen. So that would be Ms. Mercier-Link first.
All right. I just had a couple of items. So, and Boyd, chime in if I miss anything here, but we had a listening session, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before. Most of the regulars showed up. We had Bill Hodges from Masco School Committee and Alyssa Guston from elementary schools. And we talked about everything from the windows at Proctor to the Masco budget. What
Yeah.
else do we have?
Yeah.
And the language academy at the elementary school. So we just encourage people to use those meetings. They're casual. There's no agenda. You just come in and ask questions. And if we can answer them right then and there, we do. If it's a follow-up, we follow up. But, yeah, they're good meetings.
I would add some comments. I won't add any corrections, but I will add some comments. Elementary school mentioned that they are working hard at trying to bring some of their kids that need special education back into the Topsfield system so that they can maybe handle it in-house rather than sending them out district. They recognize the cost of doing that. And it's not a really big deal because elementary school only has, as I recall, 3 or 4 of those students that need that kind of help. Masco's got more of those, but and the point that I'm trying to make is the elementary school is recognizing that that's an issue, and they're trying to figure out a way to handle those students in-house rather than out of district. The other thing I would talk about is Masco talked about the total cost of trying to upgrade the Masco with HVAC and roofing and football fields and all that other stuff is like total cost $50 million. That's a huge number. And there was talk about, well, should we build a new school? And I went to Kevin and I said, what does that cost? And Kevin said 650 or 700 million. So you don't have any choice but to fund that stuff. The way it looks to me, at a cost of 50 million versus 650 million. So Masco is going to come at us with huge numbers in the future, and in the not too distant future, in my opinion. The only other point of clarification I wanted to make was there was talk about the fact that if we're going to do an override and that override doesn't pass, what gets cut? And I talked to Kevin about that, and he said that attachment A will enumerate that to a great extent, and we need to make sure that that happens because there are going to be people that are going to say, well, if the override doesn't pass and you're going to cut services, what are you going to cut? That's about what I remember came out of the listening session.
Yeah, I have a little bit different take on that. I mean, if it didn't pass, I wouldn't necessarily say all that money that was representing the override that didn't pass has to be cut out. I would say, let's think about, should we come up with a more moderate override somewhere in between and salvage a few things we might otherwise have to take apart and do a special town meeting for it.
Definitely an option.
So I had
That's an
one other
option.
thing. I just
That's
had
an
one other
option
thing.
for sure. Michelle, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So thank you for adding to that. In addition to the listening session, and I probably should have done this while Gary was here, but we definitely should commend Gary and his team for the work that they've been doing in the storms. Just one thing to remember, the last, I believe, 3 storms, including this past weekend, has happened overnight and/or on a weekend, which makes it really rough for them. So they do a great job with the streets. So thank you to Gary and his team. That's all I had.
All right, Mr. Metz.
There are still people around town that say Topsfield's got better roads than any of the surrounding towns around us.
They'd be right.
If you've been to the wealthy town of Arlington, Mass, where my sons live, their roads are like a washboard.
All right, Mr. Metz.
So I don't really have much, but I did take a look at House Bill 4965, which has been intended to contain the senior tax assistance program version on the House side. And I took a look at it, and they have like 4 or 5 programs of different sorts, all of which sort of pertain to elderly and some related issues that were all going to be blended in to this 4965 House legislation. And I looked at it this morning, and basically that legislation says we, the House, are going to look at the programs in these 5 bills that are being consolidated and come up with our version before the end of the year. So that almost sounded like going backwards, but I guess it's still on the drawing board. So I will be checking in with our friend, Ms. Representative Kerens, later
I
this
can
week.
imagine.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hook,
Nope.
Mr.
Man,
Jackson.
you've been quiet tonight.
Listen, I don't want to complain. I've been sitting in this chair since 6:15 this morning. The only break I've had was to go snow blow my driveway, and that is not a task that's done.
Well, I was gonna say, get off your ass and go shovel some snow,
Yeah,
and I
no.
guess you did.
Yep, some of that's already done.
We'll wave at each other after the meeting, Marshall.
Yes.
I'll be out there as well. Mr. Jackson.
I just got a lighter note here. For a little while back in the middle of our meeting, there was a guy that showed up that called himself a Zoom user, and I didn't recognize him because he didn't have a tie on, he didn't have a white shirt on, and I didn't know who in the hell it was. But guess what?
Last time I took a Zoom from home, I got yelled at for fully suiting up. So I figured I'd at least try harder to meet your expectations.
Those are his workout clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I called Kevin this afternoon in a Zoom, and he was in his daughter's bedroom because the kids had taken over his office.
That's why I never work remote unless I absolutely have
to. All right. I think the only couple things to point out, superintendent search at Masco is continuing. I think Marshall probably knows more about it than I do. They were taking public comments on this, I think, until yesterday. I have no idea where it goes from here. And then wanted to draw attention to, if people didn't see it, the superintendent at Essex Tech wrote an open letter. It's out there opposing the lottery system. So we know what's happened to Topsfield, but the superintendent has a public letter out there with her opinions of that as well. It's an interesting read. They did have the lottery 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks ago now. So Topsfield's allotment has been filled with 8th graders going into 9th grade for the next year. Okay. With
how many kids was that?
15.
Up from 7 from the last 3 years.
But our allotment of the payment is not based on the 15. We had already received that before they made the change.
For this budget, but it will
for
be
this year
in fiscal 28 budget.
It's based on last September's entering class. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Then over to the town administrators report.
Staying with Essex Tech, had some very productive conversations with the other 10 communities that have seen over a 33% increase on their enrollment numbers. And they all seem very supportive of vocally making our position known that we also oppose the process and results of this year's freshman class allotment. So I have spoke with the superintendent about appearing at their next meeting in March, and just taking a moment to just address the board there and thank them for the work they did, because they did a lot of work preemptive to the final change that was asked and made, and then successfully passed, and let them know that what the impacts are to the communities, but also the kids who value this education so greatly. Been texting with the superintendent on that. So we'll certainly make sure the position is known, and we'll make sure the other communities stand with us when we do so. Veteran service officer. So we did go with, after meeting with the board a month ago, we did move forward with our VSO being the Eastern Essex Veteran Services, which is Stephen Bone, who's our historical backup that we've had to Dick, and who Dick recommended as his first choice. Dick Cullinan, that is. Went to their board meeting last Thursday after a road meeting in Ipswich. Great group of people. They're very excited to have us join the group. We'll need to approve the bylaw modifications that they've created, which includes now Topsfield. And because the contract to do services with them will be greater than $25,000, it's roughly going to be $31,000 for next year. I can't sign off on the bylaw change and bind us to that new allotted amount. So the bylaws will come to the board at the March 2nd meeting next week for you to review. And the hope is to vote if everyone's comfortable with it. And then also we need to vote an appointment. And I know my understanding is Dick Cullinan is interested in being the representative for the town of Topsfield on their board. Every community, the 5 communities that are on there, us being the 6th, have a representative on the board overseeing the activities of the Eastern Essex veteran service officers work on behalf of the towns. And so over the next few days, Sam and I will get that all sorted, and we'll have that up on board docs for discussion. When it goes up, if anyone has any questions, because it's happening pretty quickly and it's time sensitive, please just let me know. Feel free to call me or stop by the office, and we can chat on any questions you might have ahead of time. Collective bargaining, a couple quick HR updates. We're starting our collective bargaining negotiations with fire, Call Fire, and the DPW. Meetings scheduled. We've had meetings scheduled actually multiple times with the Call, but they've been canceled because of weather. Believe it or not, we've had a little more weather recently than we've expected. DPW, I think, is this week or next week. And Call Fire, we've met with one time. We've had to reschedule a couple times too. Meet with them, I think, later this week as well. So those negotiations are starting to kick off. And then just non-CBA related HR. So the planning and zoning admin position that Lynn vacated, Lynn Bermudez, has been filled by Amy, our building department admin. She's currently 24 hours. We're going to add 10 hours to that, get her up to 34 hours a week, supporting the boards, the planning and the zoning boards.
And who is that again, Kevin?
This is our existing building department senior administrative assistant, Amy.
Amy?
Yeah, Amy's going to be doing the work.
It's a great connection between building inspector and the 2 boards, so ZBA and planning. I think that'll work well.
It's going to work really, really great. And
what's her last name?
Schemedity. That you knew I didn't say it because I didn't want to say it wrong on camera. But she's going to be doing it on a 4-month trial basis, and she'll be doing it through the end of the fiscal year, which gives us a little bit of time, knowing that we're looking at bringing on the halftime planner position. If that passes and it's successful, this will give Amy some experience, and if she decides she wants to continue to do it, we'll have somebody who has the admin support for the boards to be able to continue doing that. And if she decides it doesn't, or we decide it doesn't, not the right fit, we'll have some flexibility at the end of the fiscal year when we're looking to bring somebody on at the same time too, which might time up well if that's the case. And then we've interviewed 2 of the 4 candidates for the communications position. Very excited about the first 2 interviews, excited for the remaining interviews. But we have a good crop of people who've applied, which is very exciting. And depending on how that all falls together, there might be somebody I've already identified within that crop that I'm thinking of offering the rec position too. I think they might actually be a really great rec director. So those are some of the openings. Those are some of the things that we're working on there. And lastly, I'm just going to echo what Mercy or Link said earlier, and I know the rest of the board shares, but a big thank you to the DPW. It's not just for the last 24 hours or later this week when it's supposed to get some more snow potentially, but for the whole season. It's been busy. It's been a busy one. And as Mercy or Link said as well, they seem to always fall on the weekends, which is good because for them, they're able to make a little bit more extra money, but at the same time, it's hard for them to be away from the families, but they always come in. We have had no issues with shortages or people not showing up to plow, and we really appreciate that consistency and that dedication, whether it's a private contractor or our team that's out there helping keep the streets safe. So just thank you to them. We really appreciate the work.
Yeah, this afternoon, Kevin, I took a walk down from the top of Great Hill down to the bottom of the driveway to the Ipswich Road intersection, and the Great Hill driveway's not well cared for at this point, but the Ipswich Road looks, considering how much snow we had, looked excellent. I was very, very happy with the job they were doing.
Yeah, Gary and I talked right before our calls tonight, the finance committee meeting, and then this one. And I know that he's talked with his crew. They're going to be going, like he said, till close to midnight tonight, so another couple hours at least. And then some of the contracts we've been working beyond that to try to get the town hall area downtown as clean as possible. The schools. We don't have school tomorrow, but town hall will have a 2-hour delay just to give them a little bit extra time to treat the areas, make sure it's safe. But it's super impressive knowing that those guys are working that much dedication to get everything opened up for us, so including the businesses downtown.
They're great. All right, thank you. I'll point folks to correspondence. We've got a couple of thank yous and a TV notice. We do have a little bit more business as a board, but we are going to go hopefully into executive session. So actually by roll call vote, the board will enter into a, hang on, let me just make sure I'm doing the right thing from board docs. Yeah, by roll call vote, the board will enter into closed executive session in accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, under exemption number 2 to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel related to the fire chief and the police chief contracts. So since we're on Zoom, we're going to have to go, no matter what, we have to do a person by person vote. So to enter into executive session, Ms. Mercier Link.
You need a
Aye.
second.
Oh, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, now Ms. Mercier Link.
Aye.
Mr. Metz.
Aye.
Mr. Jackson.
Aye.
Mr. Hook.
Aye.
I'm an aye. We are in executive session.